On one hand, the defense is securing its identity for the future, but on the other hand, we are gambling on a high-reward veteran gamble. 12s. I have two massive pieces of news today. A defensive tackle just secured a huge 3-year deal, and a hungry cornerback just signed on to battle for a roster spot. Stay until the end, subscribe for our first 1,000 followers, and comment your city below. Leonard Williams signed a 3-year $90 million contract extension with our organization, locking in his presence for the foreseeable future. He arrived here via trade and quickly became the anchor of our defensive front, proving his worth every single week. My personal assessment is that this deal confirms our front office priority, keeping elite production in the trenches regardless of cost. According to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, the deal is official, while Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network confirmed the staggering $90 million total value. Having recently turned 32, he is not just a veteran leader, but arguably our most productive interior presence. I am genuinely excited by this commitment, but I also want to pump the brakes a little because that is a massive cap hit for a player at his age. Is this the right move for our long-term salary structure? Or are we paying for past production while ignoring the inevitable decline of age? And I cannot stress this enough, the fact that he was recognized as the absolute best defensive tackle in a league-wide vote by coaches, general managers, and scouts speaks volumes about his impact. This extension fits perfectly into the strategy we have seen recently, with the team securing deals for Jackson Smith-Njigba, Devin Witherspoon, and Charles Cross, to ensure our core remains intact. It is refreshing to see management prioritize continuity, but does this move hinder our ability to pursue other high-end depth in the secondary? Witnessing this investment at Lumen Field reminds me that we are in a true championship window right now. I wonder if the coaching staff intends to adjust his snap counts this year to keep him fresher for a deep January run, or if they plan to ride him as hard as they did last season. Would you believe that the front office prioritized this massive $90 million investment right now while navigating such a complex roster management period? This move was not just a simple re-signing, but a calculated decision to lock in the absolute best interior defensive presence in the entire league, as confirmed by that recent poll of scouts and general managers. Think about it this way: when an organization commits that kind of capital to a 32-year-old veteran, they are clearly betting on sustained performance to anchor the middle of their defensive scheme. I look at this through the lens of recent extensions for players like Charles Cross and Devin Witherspoon, which proves we are aggressively locking up our core pillars before their value hits the open market. The sheer consistency of his production is exactly what provides the stability required for a sustained championship run. Is this the most efficient way to manage our financial resources when we still have so many other pieces to maintain across the defensive depth chart? My gut tells me that keeping such an elite anchor in the trenches is worth every penny despite his age, especially given the instrumental role he played during our previous postseason success. It is a bold statement about our current identity. Yet I have to admit that watching the front office handle Jackson Smith-Njigba alongside this deal suggests a very deliberate timeline for our competitive window. We are clearly prioritizing proven talent over pure gambling on draft picks at this stage of the cycle. I am curious if the coaching staff views this as the final piece needed to solidify our front, or if they are still hunting for even more reliable depth to rotate in when the pressure intensifies late in the season. Now let's get into the update everybody's been waiting for regarding the secondary, as cornerback Trevon Diggs just signed a 1-year, veteran minimum contract with our Seahawks. This deal is valued at $1.215 million with no guarantees, giving the front office total flexibility to move on if he fails to meet expectations during this camp. I am excited to see this veteran presence join our defensive backfield, but I also want to pump the brakes a little because we have to see if he can truly regain his form after those lingering injuries that hampered him since his 2022 Pro Bowl season. Diggs noted this is the healthiest training camp he has had in several years, which is a massive positive for his prospects. The part fans are not ready for is how steep his performance-based incentives are structured. He can earn an additional $500,000 for playing 42% of snaps, climbing to $1 million if he hits 60% of defensive snaps. Furthermore, his contract targets turnover production with interception-based bonuses, 3 picks earn at least $500,000, 5 raise that to $750,000, and 7 interceptions result in a $1 million payout. Is this low-risk gamble the savvy move our defense needs, or are we just hoping for a miracle from a veteran working his way back into a starting rotation? Currently, he is grinding through a deep roster battle for the third cornerback spot against Noah Igbinoghene, Nehemiah Pritchett, and Julian Neal. Can a player with his track record actually beat out the younger guys fighting for those limited snap counts? Watching him perform at Lumen Field will be my main focus because this incentive-heavy structure suggests the team is betting on his ceiling while protecting the cap hit. If he stays healthy, this could be a massive steal for our secondary unit. Bringing a former Pro Bowler onto our roster for the veteran minimum is clearly an attempt to strike gold without sacrificing long-term flexibility. I am looking at this through the lens of a defensive backfield that desperately needs turnover production, and the upside of having a ball hawk like Trevon Diggs is obvious if he can just stay on the field. Now here's the thing, this move feels like a classic high-reward bet because the financial risk is non-existent. Since the deal lacks guaranteed money, our front office has the power to pivot if his health fails again. But let's be honest about the flip side of this gamble. Can we actually expect a defender who has been battling injuries since 2022 to suddenly return to form in a rotation that already includes hungry competitors like Noah Igbinoghene, Nehemiah Pritchett, and Julian Neal? That is a crowded room, and the competition for limited snap counts is fierce. While the incentive structure is smart, tying $1 million to 7 interceptions is a massive ask for a player fighting for a backup role. My honest take here is that this deal is more about hedging our bets than finding a lock-in starter. I really admire his claim that this is the healthiest camp he has had in several seasons. But until he proves he can handle full-speed contact without a setback, I am keeping my expectations grounded. Does this veteran really have the burst needed to separate himself from our younger DBs? Or are we witnessing a name brand signing that might not translate to actual production on the field? I truly hope he proves me wrong because a healthy Diggs would be a game changer for our secondary. Yet I remain cautious until he makes a play in an actual game. When you put both of today's stories together, the picture for our Seattle Seahawks is clear. We are doubling down on championship-level talent while simultaneously scouring the market for hidden potential. Locking in a premier force like Leonard Williams shows our commitment to winning in the trenches right now, while the Trevon Diggs deal demonstrates a willingness to hunt for high-end talent at the lowest possible price point. And this is the part that gets me. Our front office is balancing massive long-term security with ruthless efficiency, ensuring our core is set while leaving zero guaranteed money on the table for flyers. This strategy signals that we are not content with just making the postseason. We are building a roster designed to dominate the physical side of the game. Are you comfortable with our front office betting $90 million on a veteran interior presence? And do you truly believe that a player with such a lengthy injury history can actually reclaim his form in our secondary? I want to hear from you in the comments below because your perspective on these roster moves really matters to the direction of this franchise. Balancing the budget against the sheer talent required to compete at the highest level is never easy. But seeing these moves makes me feel like we are playing the game the right way. If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. I'm still pushing toward our first 1,000 subscribers, and every one of you helps me get there. 12s. I will see you in the next one. I will be back later to update you with the latest Seattle Seahawks news. Make sure you hit that bell icon so you never miss a single upload when the breaking reports land.